When students begin writing a research project, many of them are confident while writing Chapter 1, which introduces the study. They are also comfortable with Chapter 2, where they review literature and discuss previous studies. By the time they reach Chapter 3, they have already explained the research design, sampling technique, and data collection methods. But something interesting happens when they arrive at Chapter 4. Suddenly, many students become anxious. They begin asking questions like, how do I analyze my data? What statistical method should I use? What does SPSS really do? Which analysis is correct for my research? Because of this confusion, many students even pay external analysts to analyze their data for them. But the truth is that data analysis is not as complicated as it appears when it is explained properly. In today's episode of Research Hub and Academic Mentorship, we will carefully explore how students can analyze research data using SPSS, one of the most widely used statistical software packages in academic research. Before we focus on SPSS, we must first understand something very important. There are different types of data analysis in research, and each type is suitable for different kinds of research questions. Understanding these categories will help you choose the correct method for your project. In academic research, data analysis generally falls into two major categories. The first one there is quantitative data analysis, and the second type is qualitative data analysis. Let us understand each one carefully. Quantitative data analysis involves numerical data. This means the information collected from respondents is expressed in numbers. For example, number of hours students spend on social media, number of students who prefer online learning, test scores or examination results, responses measured using rating scales, and so on. Quantitative data analysis uses statistical methods to examine patterns, relationships, and differences within the data. Examples of quantitative statistical methods include frequency distribution, percentage analysis, mean and standard deviation, correlation analysis, regression analysis, and t-test and ANOVA. Quantitative analysis is commonly used in fields such as education, psychology, economics, business administration, sociology, and all of that. And this is where SPSS becomes extremely useful, because SPSS is designed to perform statistical analysis quickly and accurately. For qualitative data analysis, this focuses on non-numerical information. Instead of numbers, qualitative research examines opinions, experiences, perceptions, behaviors, narratives, and all that. Data in qualitative research is often collected through interviews, focus group discussions, observations, open-ended responses. Instead of statistics, qualitative analysis involves identifying themes, patterns, and meanings in participants' responses. Common qualitative analysis methods include thematic analysis, content analysis, narrative analysis. Qualitative analysis is commonly used in fields like counseling, anthropology, sociology, and education research. Because many undergraduate research projects rely on survey questionnaire, the data collected is usually quantitative. This means the responses must be analyzed using statistical tools. SPSS helps researchers to organize data. It helps them to perform calculations automatically. It helps them to generate tables and charts, as well as testing research hypotheses. SPSS therefore simplifies what would otherwise require very complex manual calculations. Now, let us focus on how SPSS actually works. SPSS stands for Statistical Package for the Social Sciences. It is a computer software program used to analyze numerical data in research. Although it was originally designed for social science research, today it is used in many disciplines, including education, health sciences, marketing, psychology, economics, and so on. SPSS allows researchers to input data collected from respondents and perform statistical analysis within seconds. Before opening SPSS, the researcher must understand the structure of the questionnaire data. Let us consider a simple example. Imagine you conducted a study titled "The Impact of Social Media Usage on Academic Performance Among Undergraduate Students." Your questionnaire may contain questions such as gender of respondent, age group of respondent, hours spent on social media daily by respondent, whether social media affects study time of the respondent, or whether social media supports academic collaboration. Each of these questions represent a variable in SPSS. A variable is simply a characteristic being measured in the research. Examples of variables include age, gender, study hours, academic performance, and social media usage. When entering data into SPSS, each variable will become a column, while each respondent will represent a row. When you open SPSS, you will see two important sections. The first is variable view, and the other is data view. In variable view, the researcher defines the variables used in the study. For example, variable 1 may have gender, variable 2 may have age, variable 3 may have social media hours, and variable 4 may have academic performance. Each variable must be properly labeled so SPSS can interpret the data correctly. For example, gender may be coded as 1. Male, 2. Female. Coding allows SPSS to interpret responses numerically. The other thing you see when you open SPSS is data view. In data view, the researcher enters the responses collected from respondents. Each row represents one participant, and each column represents a variable. For example, one respondent will have gender, age, social media hours, academic performance, and all. This structure table allows SPSS to process the data easily. The first type of analysis students usually perform is descriptive statistics. Descriptive statistics help summarize data in a simple and understandable form. Examples include frequency tables, percentages, mean scores. For example, if 120 students participated in your study, SPSS may show 60 males and 60 females. This information can be presented in a frequency table. These tables are commonly used in Chapter 4 of Research Projects. Now, we move on to discussing testing research questions. After descriptive analysis, the next step is answering the research questions. Suppose the research question in this case is: does social media usage influence students' academic performance? To answer this question, the researcher may use statistical tools such as correlation analysis, regression analysis. These tools help determine whether a relationship exists between variables. Now we talk about testing hypotheses. Many research projects also contain hypotheses. A hypothesis is a testable statement predicting the relationship between variables. For example, there is no significant relationship between social media usage and academic performance. This statement is called the null hypothesis. Using SPSS, the researcher can test whether the hypothesis should be accepted or rejected. If the statistical result shows a significant relationship, the null hypothesis is rejected. If, on the other hand, no significant relationship is found, then the null hypothesis is accepted. Now, we move on to talking about presenting results in Chapter 4. Once the analysis is completed, result must be presented clearly in Chapter 4 of the research project. Results are usually presented using tables, charts, percentages, statistical interpretations. For example, a table may show that 65% of students spend more than 3 hours daily on social media. The researcher then explains that this finding means for the research problem. The researcher then explains that this finding or what this finding means for the research problem. Data analysis may appear intimidating at first, but when students understand the logic behind statistical analysis and the tools used, the process becomes much easier. SPSS simply helps researchers organize data, perform calculations, and interpret results more efficiently. Dear friends, in the next episode of Research Hub and Academic Mentorship, we will continue exploring other important data analysis techniques used in research projects. Specifically, we'll examine correlation analysis, regression analysis, and hypothesis testing. Before we finally move to the last stage of research writing, which is the Chapter 5, Summary, Conclusion and Recommendations, I want you to know that understanding data analysis properly will not only help you complete your research project successfully, but it will also strengthen your ability to conduct credible academic research in future. Subscribe to this channel for more videos. Thank you.